KCast Radio, your home for Kurre and Klapow in the mornings, classic rock to the bone. We are on the KCast Radio app, but thanks to thousands of folks who are listening to us. We're worldwide right now, and of course, we're centered right here in Birmingham, Alabama. This is our bread and butter, but we're I think in 16 different countries because we had Dr. Alex Hublein on from Adaptogen on a few minutes ago, in case you missed it on the KCast Radio app. They do all kinds of wonderful work with IT environments and simplifying your IT environment, which is what we're trying to do here and simplify.
That's it.
When I tell people, and you've done it a million times, you walk up. Some guy was at the golf course the other day, and he walked up, and he was probably 70. He got out of his golf cart and walked half of the golf course to say hello. And I was like, hey, and he goes, man, I used to listen to you. I love you. What are you doing now? And I said, I'm doing the KCast Radio app.
And he's like,
oh, yeah. I said, give me your phone. And I said, look, and he goes, oh, wow. And then so he put it in the thing. He knew how to Bluetooth. He Bluetoothed in his golf cart, and off he rode. I'm like, you're listening to Fog Out. You're listening to Zeppelin he's like, this is great. And then I saw him on the backside. He's like, this is killer. I was like, I know.
That's right.
Good. So thanks to Dr. Alex for joining us here on KCast.
I think he did a really nice job, too, of taking something that is pretty complicated. But what he said, and this is true, and this is exactly what we're doing. It's exactly the same thing. The back end of this, of what they do at Adaptogen, all the stuff you can't see. If you're a business user like us, you don't really care, right? You just want it to work.
Yep.
Okay. But you do need the complexity on the back side. And what Adaptogen does is it takes all of the complex old stuff that you may have, and it revitalizes it so that if you're a technologist, you can understand it. But if you're like us, you just get to use your business. You just get to. And to me, it's no different than the app. We put a lot of effort behind it, right? Making all the technology crap. But what the app does is allows you with one click of the button to listen to classic rock and to listen to us. And for some people, that's all they care about.
Most of the times we don't do, and by the way, if you're watching us on Facebook, we greatly appreciate it. We're going a little later this morning. Make sure you download the KCast Radio app. We have an AC/DC show going on tomorrow night, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. We do have our IBM Champions Chat where we mash up classic rock and high tech on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. We got other specialized programming coming up here shortly. School's going to be starting, believe it or not, in about 3 weeks. I can't believe it. Because back in our day, we go to school after Labor Day, but now kids go a lot earlier. And hopefully our kids, now they're talking about masking up. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I've got the most memorable things our high school teachers ever told us. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. But I do have some birthdays I want to get into. Normally I don't do a lot of birthdays around here. But we have a couple big ones today. Billy Mays, remember him? The spokesperson, he's 63. Carlos Santana has a birthday today.
Is he dead?
He's not dead.
Thank God.
He's on tour.
Everybody's. Is anybody not on tour?
I got news for you. We don't get our together. They're starting to pull back again.
I know.
Because the last thing they want to do, it takes a lot to put a tour together. The last thing these promoters want to do is putting together these mega tours for all these rock and rollers.
Yep.
And they're going to start doing these Vegas shows because it's all encapsulated. They don't have to do the sound equipment.
That's right.
All the money and all that garbage. Fine, you're playing this room. It's where everyone's playing. We're done with it. He turned 74 today.
Oh, he's not that old.
Julian Huff. Oh. 2 words come to mind when I think of Julian Huff. Sex kitten. She's 5'3". She's a little juggernaut of just fun.
She's 52.
Julian Huff?
Yeah, I don't know who Julian
She's
Huff.
33.
Who's Julian Huff? What show?
She's Dancing with the Stars. She's the one that's now she was married and then she decided she liked women and she does the furniture commercials.
Yes.
Oh.
Rah! She's too short. She's too short for you.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is. You can't. I'm going to have to help you in all this with your
new
tall
one. Giselle Bundchen has a birthday today. Mrs. Tom Brady.
Oh, she's like 6'2", right?
Yeah, I think she's about 6 foot.
Okay, so she's got to be 48.
She's 41.
Okay.
And Chris Cornell would have been today. I know we did the.
That's such a haunting. That whole thing is like
that was 4 years ago, May of this past year. 4 years ago, we saw him play up Soundgarden. It was one of our first remotes we ever did with
and
the
it was his last concert,
up in Tuscaloosa Amphitheater, I think it was. And I remember him asking the crowd to stop blowing the smoke up on stage, which was weird because rock and rollers usually he's like, dude, I can't sing anymore. It's messing my voice up. Please just blow it back the other direction. It was great. And I remember vividly because you and I were doing our show. We could hear the music. We
Right.
went out and caught about 45 minutes of the show.
it was so
And he's like, this is the first time we've ever played the state of Alabama. And he goes, I can promise you right now, we'll be back. We're having a great time. We love it.
breaks my heart, man.
10 days later, he was,
So it would have been, what, 50?
he would have been 57 today.
I was a little older than I thought.
Yeah.
Soundgarden, classic rock, or alternative?
Well, came out as alternative.
I know.
I think we can play it as classic rock now.
Okay.
All right, so we do have school coming up. I was going to hold on to this, but it's going to be one of those things where I'm not going to remember. So I do it right now. The most memorable things are high school teachers.
Because we did yesterday, because you're old.
Do you have anything that any of your teachers ever said to you that you remember? College, wherever, any teacher.
No. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I don't put enough. I don't assert enough. That I remember most of my teachers would say you could be really great if you would just put some effort towards what you do. That was my pretty much. From kindergarten all the way through.
So you can use that one. I would bet that with college football getting ready to rear its head, that a lot of players remember more what their coaches probably tell them.
Yes.
Because it's life-changing stuff. My music teacher used to tell me that before you can break the rules, you had to understand them.
That's good.
You like that?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to take notes on this.
I know,
this is Instagram material.
I thought
this.
That,
that's
I thought
great.
That,
oh,
I know. I was like, that's pretty good.
That's right. That means you can't really be a dumbass.
Yeah.
You have to be smart to get yourself in trouble.
You have to be a smart dumbass.
Well, I love that.
We're all trying to figure it out at any age. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
That's a good one. That sounds. That's a teacher. That's a teacher, a coach, a clergy, and a shrink. All would be able to say the same thing.
Yep. The minute you think you know it all, you might as well just call it a night.
Yes.
You're not learning. Teacher of mine said he would write me a letter of recommendation. Been in about a week or so, and he hadn't gotten back to me yet. I went in a third time to remind him. I started off with an apology, in which he corrected me, saying, "Don't ever stop advocating for yourself." How often do we do that? Because
I'm sorry.
The minute you apologize, you're putting yourself beneath
you
them.
are. Yes.
I'm sorry if I'm bothering you, and it happened to me yesterday. I texted someone twice. They normally text me back. Hadn't gotten anything, and I was like, it had been 3 days. I'm like, and it said read, so I know they saw it.
Right. Sorry to bug you, man.
Sorry to bother you, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, you know what, screw this. I was like, hey, dude, what's up? I put a question mark. What's happening?
Yeah, did he reply?
He did. I'm sorry. I haven't been out of the office.
Things have been crazy here.
Got me a little chippy.
Yeah.
Screw you, dude. I'm busy.
Right.
You're not important to me. Okay. Well, at least I know where we stand. High school teacher would walk through the busy hallways of the school shouting hot coffee while holding an empty mug just to get people to get out of his way.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead. I remember one from grad school.
My favorite math teacher had a philosophy about us understanding how to get to formulas instead of memorizing them. Basically, if we memorize them, we are going to remember them wrong. It would never be wiser because we thought we remember them. I don't know what that is. High school football coach. First words, teaching sex education.
Okay.
Does that happen anymore? High school coaches teaching sex education?
They teach sex education.
Driver's ed.
Driver's ed. And in my public school, they taught history.
Yeah. He used the metaphor of an old American West where cowboys would leave their guns at the door when they entered a saloon to drink so no one would get killed in a drunken outburst. He'd talk about a lot of topics that might make us feel uncomfortable and tempted us to make a joke at someone else's expense to break the tension. So before we walked in, he'd say, leave your verbal guns at the door. He asked us to leave our verbal guns at the door so everyone could feel comfortable asking honest questions. This is back in the late 80s.
Jeez, that sounds like a shrink.
Huh? Yeah, I know, right?
I'm going to use that one. Leave your verbal guns at the door. That's good for relationships. That's really good for relationships.
2005, a teacher said, intelligence of the future will not be defined on how well you know one skill, but instead how well you can find information to decipher what information is good and bad.
I just thought of another one.
Yeah.
So I've got two. I almost need to run down. I got two things that were taught to me. Go ahead. I'm going to try to remember.
You want to give them now?
Well, the first one was when I was in graduate school. I had a professor who was like 150 years old.
Yep.
And he would drink coffee just like you.
Thanks.
He did. And he would remind us that we don't know anything.
Yeah.
And because we were all in like 20 something. And he's like, don't think you know it because at your age you don't. And then he'd say, at my age I don't. So always be in the mode of learning.
Yeah.
You don't you don't know it. The second one, so that was fine. He also would lose his train of thought as he was lecturing to us, and he was an old Jewish guy. He'd be like, "Where am I?" And then he'd be like, "Not where am I literally, where am I?" My lecture, and he'd go, "Where am I? Bring me back." And we'd have to bring back. No, but my PhD advisor said this. He said, "You're getting a PhD not to learn a bunch of information." He said, "That's not what it's about. It is to learn how to figure out problems in the world." And what he said is, you don't need a PhD for that, but if you can learn how to figure out problems in the world, you will have the biggest impact you possibly can have.
There you go.
That's mine.
Sociology teacher used to say, those who are prepared create their own luck. Makes sense.
Yes.
Luck happens to people that work hard. Yeah, the occasional slacker is going to end up winning the lottery.
That's true.
For the most
You got to
part.
position. What is it? You have to position yourself for the opportunity to arise.
You do. Our town was a little shithole, and the best advice he ever gave us is move out and go somewhere else. He was right. Another teacher said the true sign of an economy in a slump is when people stop buying big TVs.
Well, we don't. Okay. Well, we don't have big TVs anymore.
Well, we have big TVs.
No, but you remember what we talked about
big
yesterday.
Screen TVs.
But you know what we talked yesterday?
I had one down here.
You're old if you use a TV screen.
Yeah. Another teacher said anything controversial he didn't want repeated, he would preface it with, "Don't quote me on this because I'll just deny it." He said he
That's
still
good.
uses it today.
Can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Freshman year history teacher told us first day of school about how he went to college with Bill Gates.
Okay.
So he was one of the people that Bill asked to invest in his startup. He declined. And here I am teaching history class to high schoolers.
With just a little bit of bitterness.
Yeah.
A little resentment. These are terrible advice, by the way.
I know. My music teacher, when I spent a large length of time skipping school due to various reasons, she had phoned me after spending hours tracking a way to contact me because she was worried. "I'm not phoning to tell you off. I'm phoning to make sure you're okay. You don't have to go to classes you don't like. Your exam is on Wednesday, and I'm phoning to let you know, no matter what, I know that you'd still be practicing because you're a bright student, and I know you'll go far no matter what you choose." She used the old reverse psychology. It's okay if you don't want to come, but I think you're in Korea. If you really want to hurt a man, really hurt a man, don't hit him in the crotch, hit him in the wallet.
That's what a high school teacher said?
Yeah.
You can't use that one.
You don't have to do anything in life except die.
Wait, say it again?
You don't have to do anything in life except for die.
That's good for Instagram.
Particularly having a bad year in high school, emotionally, my grades were starting to reflect this. So my dad went in for a parent-teacher conference day. When he got to the orchestra director, he bluntly told my dad that I was brilliant. The teacher told his dad he was brilliant. Well, my dad just kind of shrugged it off like, okay, he's kind of a smart kid, I guess. The director looked him in the eye and said, "No, you don't understand," and proceeded to lecture him about him. I heard this secondhand from my dad and then talked to my director about it afterwards. His words and his faith in me have stuck with me for my life. I'm now finishing up a PhD in mathematical science.
This has got nothing to do with music.
Yeah. My teacher told me not to give my girlfriend a fetal pig heart for Valentine's Day because she'd probably get a restraining order against me. It was true.
I had a teacher, not mine, one of my daughter's teachers. She was having some challenges in math. She was getting a B, right? But she was struggling. She was just really working her butt off and just kind of, she's getting a B. So we went in for the parent-teacher conference. You know Jules. We sit down there, and the teacher was male, and there was another female teacher there. And we were explaining to this teacher how our daughter was just, she was doing well, but is there anything else she could do because she was really struggling? She's getting a B. He looked at her and he looked at Jules and he said, "Well, I have two daughters and sometimes math is just not their thing." She's getting a B. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jules.
Yeah. Wow.
Jules, it's one of those moments as a husband because I was ready to rip it. And then I looked over. There was no words that I could say that would do justice to the death stare that Jules gave him. She said literally, "Oh, I guess you should just do home economics then."
Yeah.
And he looked and he's like, "Well, no, I'm not, no. I'm just trying to say that different kids are." He's like, and she's getting a B and you're ready to write her off. Yeah. So we came home and told my daughter, she got an A in the class.
No, I would think the B students are the ones you want to go after because they're so close.
Well, that's why we went in. Yeah, that's why we went in.
Yeah. No, I like B's better than A's.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you get an A, you want to keep that A up, but you kind of slouch off a little bit because you've got it. You've got an A. Now kids are like, they just want to get that above that 90 threshold just so they can say they got an A. I'm like, yeah, you got an A, but you could have gotten a better A. or you could have gotten a better B. It goes 10 numbers there. You had an 83, and 88's, well, it's a B. No, a B doesn't cover 80 to 90 or 80 to 89. 88's a hell lot better than 82.
But
So get a better B. And they're like, well, that'd be a plus. I'm like, no, plus is an 89 or 88, depending on who you get. A better B. Get a better A. Get a better C. Get a better D.
Things have gotten so freaking complicated, right? Because you get different points, and then depending on your class, you get over 4.0, right? You get that. And then you get to super score your scores to get into college now. So now, can I just say this? You know the whole trophy participation thing? Every kid gets a trophy, and everyone's hammering because every kid couldn't get a trophy. And I've got my views about that. The college entrance exams, which a lot of schools are doing away with, but when my kids were taking them, you get to super score them. So super score means you get to take it multiple times, and then you get to pick from your two categories, your highest scores, and use those as your scores. So you take it the first time and you get something on math and something in verbal. Let's say your math sucks, but your verbal's good. You take it again. Let's say your verbal goes down. You get to use your old verbal, and then you can use your old verbal, which sucks, and which is better, and then you use your other math. So it becomes this ridiculous game. In fact, my kid was like, you know what? Next one I'm going in, I don't even care about the verbal because I already got that solidified. I'm concentrating only on my... What the hell? Back in my day, we actually had to take the test.
Back in my day.
And there were no gutter guards.
Yeah, I hear you.
Best
teacher I ever had was Kay Taylor. She was my radio teacher.
Yes, you've told me about her.
I still speak with her. I haven't talked to her in a while. She is just awesome. She believed in what I did, and I remember we had program directors, we had music directors and everything at the radio station at our high school, and she said, well, why don't you try for one of these positions? I think you'd be good at it. And I don't know why I was so insecure. I don't know why I'm insecure now. But she's like, you should try for the program director. I was like, I can never be a program director. I can lead this place. I don't know what I'm doing. I just failed there was a test where you had to cue up a record and have a tape going. You had to do it in 2 minutes. And I kept failing it. And I couldn't figure it out. And it was like... And I was like, no. And I said, no.
How ironic and prophetic.
I know, right? And so I said, no, I'll try for the music director position because the music director just listened to the music and marked the songs they thought were good. And I thought it was fun. And I was a music guy. And she's like, I think you need to try for the program director. And I was like, no, we're gonna go. No, she's like, no. She was also the one that put me in the Kiwanis Club. I got a Kiwanis Club thing, which at the time I didn't realize.
You were in the Kiwanis Club like in high school?
Mm-hmm. I had a special dinner with the mayor and everything. I had no clue.
You're a real geek.
I know. I had no clue. But she was the one that saw that in me. And she did everything she could to put me in a position to succeed. And I wish I had known back then. I wish I was a little more confident or cocky or whatever it is. But I ended up becoming the program director, and I was kind of like, wow, and I still got the plaque, and I still take.
Where did the radio? We didn't have.
She believed in me. Not to say my mom and dad didn't believe in me, but she believed in me in a different way. When people outside your family, your mom and dad are always going to believe.
That's
in you.
Exactly.
They should anyway.
That's exactly.
But when someone else that's not your mom or dad, who's an adult, believes in you, it means a hell of a lot.
No, look, you think about it all the time. This is why parents need coaches or teachers to say the things that the parents want to say and do say. But yeah, you're right. If if it's coming from your parent, on the one hand, there's great credibility. Flies back. There's great credibility because it's your parent. But on the other hand, you're right. As a kid, you're like, you have to love me. So when you hear that same thing from your teacher or your coach, and I remember, and I think we all do, remember our coaches and our teachers saying things that our parents said, but you had that warm, fuzzy feeling. Really? You believe me? By the way, how did your high school have a radio station? We didn't have a radio station.
We had, it was one of the few high schools.
So that wasn't a common thing.
Yeah, it was a little 10-watt radio station. It got out about a mile in every direction. if we were like call number 9, get a Big Mac, it would take like 3 days to get to call number 9 because you just couldn't hear it outside the radio station.
Well, and you didn't have cell phones.
But it did everything it had to do, and that is you need to learn the radio industry. I remember we had meter readings. You had to take meter readings every hour.
What's a meter reading?
A meter reading was to show how much your wattage output was, so you didn't go over the wattage, because you could crank it up. You could go louder than you're supposed to, and it's an FCC regulation that you got to stay within your meter limits. And so you do the volts and the amps, and I forget what the other thing is. And if you didn't check your meter readings,
what
you
happened?
get suspended. That was like you have to, and we did it down here until like 1990, until they started taking them automatically. But we had to go into the rack room every hour on the hour and take meter readings and write them down. And that was, man, if you missed a meter reading, dude, that was like the end of it for you. You would get suspended from school because it was super important. If someone came in and saw you missed a meter reading, you could lose your license.
You know what this is?
What's that?
This is why companies like Adaptogent have formed to automate workflow processes like recognizing meter readings, and if they're out of range, signaling you.
Yeah.
So Adaptogent. Go to adaptogent.com.
Speaking of believing in us, we have some great sponsors.
We do.
Adaptogent, who we had on this morning. I want to thank Birmingham Gas and Budweiser. If you call their phone number 945-4893, you'll hear me on it. Just call it and listen.
I called it 16 times yesterday. They must get you really sick. Like I call them. I didn't even say anything.
They're like, Tony, there's nothing to buy here. Stop telling them to call up Birmingham Budweiser, Birmingham Gas and Budweiser. No, I've known Big Dave and Keith and Dobbs and all those guys. They're great guys. I've been doing business with them since I first got here in 1988. I've been a Budweiser guy, and I'm loyal to their program and their wonderful taste. And it's amazing because they're doing seltzer and all kinds of different things that used to be beer. Now it's all kinds of different things. And so they do a wonderful job. So I want to greatly appreciate them being on air with us on KCast Radio. Give us another one of our great sponsors, and then we'll do some more 2 for Tuesdays.
I think people do not appreciate. Can't appreciate just how many wonderful big name sponsors we have. I mean, I think that's what's so fantastic about KCast Radio. One of them is Woodhouse Day Spa. They're located locally up in the Summit, 905-7676. The webpage is birmingham.woodhousespas.com. If you live in the Charleston area, if you live in the New Orleans area, you're also going to find Woodhouse Day Spa. These are resort spas, manicures, pedicures, facials, massages. They give you robes. It is an absolute vacation experience. So call them today. Stuart Rome, huge classic rock fan.
Big Rush fan, too.
He's a big Rush fan. Again, that number is 905-7676, or go to the webpage, birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
All right, cool. Thanks, Kitty Poos. Appreciate you watching.
Bye-bye.
Download that KCast Radio app. Get classic rock around the clock, 24/7 at Skiller. You'll love it. KCast Radio.